Welcome to the Cinematic Dores podcast, where we review and give our opinions on your favorite movies.
Or just movies.
In general.
Because, I don't know, you can't really say they're favorites.
Well, you can interact with our show and let us know what your favorite movies are. And you can do that by emailing us at cinematicdoors@gmail.com. Or you can go where else, Josh?
You can go to the Twitter or Instagram, both at Cinematic Dores. Actually, no. Instagram is cinematic_doors.
Yes.
And Twitter is Cinematic Dores. I guess there's a TikTok. Still haven't done anything with that. Will I ever do anything with it? I don't know, Jordan. Maybe if you are funny enough.
Yeah, I won't do anything with it.
Okay.
Turn yourself down, Josh.
All right. Is that better? Yeah, I don't know.
We'll check that. So welcome to the podcast, and today we are celebrating Valentine's Day week.
Aww.
Which is super fun. Josh, do you have any Valentine's Day plans?
Yeah, I do actually. I'm gonna be at church having a Nerf gun war.
Whoa. With a bunch of young ones?
Yeah.
Youth group?
Yeah.
Not to make you sound
There's a bunch
creepy,
of dudes hanging out.
Like youth group is a bunch of
guns.
dudes, or
yeah. Well, it's gonna be the dudes.
Okay, nice.
So we're splitting up, and so it's gonna be the guys at the church having a Nerf war. And I don't know where the girls will be. Well,
that's fun.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
So I do have plans.
Okay. We don't really celebrate Valentine's Day, so I might get something nice for my wife, like a nice little gift or something small.
Jordan doesn't believe in love.
Right.
He's heartless.
That's right. I don't believe in any type of love.
Or feeling, really. Like emotion. You ask him about emotions, he's like, oh.
Right. Valentine's Day is just so commercial, so.
Well, what isn't commercial?
That's true.
So. Yeah, I don't
No,
know.
we don't we don't really I think we do a date night on Sunday nights, so we'll probably do that. I don't know if we'll go out for supper or anything. We'll see. We probably will. My wife's an amazing cook, so we'll probably have something in if we do that, but probably not.
We go to Olive Garden, the best. Dining.
Yeah, you love Olive Garden.
5-star. No, it's just so fancy.
It is so fancy, yeah. So Alfredo. I would rather, if I'm going to spend that money on a dish, I'd rather just go to the keg. Get a steak.
Yeah.
So if you have any Valentine's Day plans,
my family there.
Yeah, at the keg.
Yeah.
They work there or what?
Yeah, my brother and my sister both work at the keg.
Oh, nice.
And I know 8 other people. The south one.
Yeah, that's where I usually go. I used to work
south
at the
of Detroit.
I used to.
Okay, let me just explain what just happened. First of all, my mic is sitting on a Lego set. I just grabbed it from my closet. And then Jordan tried to silence me. He tried to take my freedom of speech and he muted me.
Yeah, and I can kick you out. It says right here, it says kick out guest.
This is why you don't give power to 60-year-old men.
Right. So getting back on track, power is a good thing to have. So if you get it, don't give it up.
You also didn't have power in your house.
That's right. That's why we're a bit late. This will be a shorter episode, but that's okay. So we are reviewing, because it's Valentine's Day week, we are reviewing a wonderful movie, wonderfully love movie, I guess. I don't want to give away our opinions.
Wonderfully love movie?
I don't know. It's a terrible thing. So this movie is just a nice little movie from the 90s called While You Were Sleeping. And it came out in 1995. John Turteltaub is the director. And John Turteltaub is the director.
Turtle
Sandra
Top?
Bullock, Bill Pullman, Peter Gallagher star in it, who are all pretty famous. Like Peter Gallagher is on the OC.
See, I only knew Sandra.
Sandra
The only
Bullock, yeah.
person I knew of.
So John Turteltaub directed Cool Runnings, Phenomenon, which are good movies.
I've been told to watch Cool Runnings.
Phenomenon is like that religious movie with John Travolta.
Oh, yeah, that one religious movie.
He also produced National Treasure as well. So he's only directed 4 movies. So let's review While You Were Sleeping.
I'm not working this weekend, Jerry.
Lucy!
Every day I go and I sit in a booth like a veal. I work every holiday. I go home to a cat.
For Lucy, loneliness was a way of life.
Joe Jr.'s still single.
Yeah, it's a shocker.
But the moment she saw Peter, she became a believer in love at first sight.
He was perfect.
Then fate stepped in.
Mister! There's a train coming! Oh, God, you smell good.
Now she's part of his life.
He's in a coma.
Oh, I was gonna marry him.
Who's she?
She's his fiance.
No.
Peter's engaged.
She saved his life.
Part of his family.
Hey, sis, where's my, Lucy's going to marry my brother Peter.
What?
I didn't mean for this to happen. I don't know what to do.
Don't tell them a thing. Well, since they met you, they figure they have Peter back. They need you, Lucy. Just like you need them.
Come on, everybody.
And the grandmother, she's got this heart thing.
She's had 3 attacks already.
Now you tell them now, and you might as well shoot Grandma.
Okay, Josh. What are your initial thoughts on this movie from 1995? It's an old one.
When I was first going into it, I was like, where is this title going? Like, While You Were Sleeping?
Right.
It sounds kind of creepy. Like, it's like, oh, is she only in love with him when he's asleep? Because that's creepy. Or is he only in love with her when she's asleep? It's just, I didn't know what to expect from this movie. Well, I did have one expectation, and it was going to be cheesy. Because I think...
Like you expected it to be cheesy?
I expected it to be cheesy because I think romance movies are cheesy.
All of them?
Well, most of them. Like, especially like 90s ones.
Okay.
I just look at the title and the image shown of the movie. I'm like, what is this? I was hardcore judging you when you first said you were gonna watch this movie. I mean, I don't even, I don't know what to feel about this movie. It was like, I guess it was good.
I think Josh's Heart of Stone is gonna start showing.
But the thing is, I like La La Land.
Okay.
Well, spoiler for La La Land, they don't actually get together in the end, which...
Right, like that movie's actually got one of the worst endings. Like,
well,
you can get into La La Land, but like thematically,
I
think that movie is everything wrong with our culture right now, so...
I liked the ending because it wasn't like every other romance, where it's like, oh yeah, of course they get together. It reverts expectations. Is that correct? So,
but a lot of our modern romance movies don't like this movie is like a very typical 90s romance movie where it's very happy. Like,
yeah,
throughout the whole movie. It's kind of like a comedy.
Happy.
It's like a romance comedy, right? Where a lot of movies now are a bit more pessimistic, and like La La Land's themes are in a lot of current movies. And it might not be love stories, but like, I mean, that director has very similar themes in Whiplash, right? Where it's like career over everything, you know, like Black Swan, career over everything, or your art over everything, right? So it's La La Land's a great movie. I just don't like the ending because of the thematic elements that it implies. Choosing your career over the person you love.
I guess that's fair.
So Whereas this movie is creepy, Josh. This is one of those movies,
it
if you like
creepy?
boil it down to what's happening, it's like, oh, this is kind of like a creepy circumstance, kind of, where this like woman is like inserting herself into this family.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. And then she's like
But it's not,
rewarded in the end.
but it's not played like that. It's just played to be a funny circumstance.
But also,
right?
like, she's fairly self-aware. She's like, oh
Yes.
gosh, this is spiraling.
Right.
And it's
So
I don't know. You know what it reminded me of? And I don't know why I can't think of the name of it, but there's a movie about this guy meets this girl, right? And then he
Yeah.
finds out that this girl is dating his brother.
okay.
But he loves this girl, and so the whole movie, is it Dan in Real Life?
That sounds like Dan in real life. Yes.
I think it's Dan in Real Life, where he's like in love with his brother's. Maybe not. Wait, no.
Is it Dan in real life?
No. What is it?
Okay, what's the premise you're thinking of?
But it's similar in that way, where I was like, oh, he's like, why am I blanking here?
Mm-hmm.
No, it is Dan in Real Life.
Because he falls in love with his brother's wife or fiance, right?
Yeah, and so
Right. That's Dan in real life.
it just kind of reminded me of that, whereas like, even though her and Peter, or what is her name?
Lucy.
Lucy and Peter aren't actually dating. And honestly, at the beginning, I didn't expect her and Jack, or whatever his name is. I didn't expect that for whatever reason. Because I just went into the movie, like, I just wasn't thinking about anything.
Right. So you went in kind of blind.
I
You
had
didn't really
low
look up.
expectations. I went in blind.
You had low expectations.
Yeah, because I don't know, I just think that romance movies aren't always great. I don't know. But in the end, I fairly enjoyed the movie. It was fun.
Oh, good.
There's like the ice. You remember the ice scene? I'm like, you could clearly tell that was not ice.
No. In the way they like, you're talking about the skating scene?
Yeah, well, like,
Or
because they're trying to
what
walk
scene?
to the door and they just keep falling over
yes.
and he rips
Yeah.
his pants. It's like,
I'm thinking of another
obviously
movie.
that is
Yeah.
not ice.
So, okay, this movie, first of all, they don't really make movies like this anymore. But the main premise of the movie is that this woman works at this like ticket booth for a train, and
The train, yeah.
yes, I believe it's Chicago, right? Just gonna look this up.
I
here.
don't know.
I can never remember where this movie takes place or what
It's a
city
Christmas
it is.
movie.
It's either Chicago or New York. Anyways, there's like a subway or train, and she works in this ticket booth, and then she loves this regular customer that she has, who is played by Peter Gallagher. That's Peter Callahan in the movie, and he's from the OC, by the way, so you'll recognize him. And he always has looked the same.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't look any different. Peter Boyle's also in this movie, who plays the grumpy grandpa from Everybody Loves Raymond. And so he's really fun in this movie. Bill Pullman's in it as Jack Callahan, the brother of this regular customer. Names. Oh my goodness. So I grew up on these actors. Like, Bill Pullman from Independence Day is amazing. He's always like the president in my mind because he plays the president in that movie. And Sandra Bullock, I love from Speed and even Miss Congeniality. And so this is like one of her first movies.
Isn't she in Bird Box?
Yes, which I haven't seen actually. So,
I like that movie.
But her big breakup movie was Speed, and this came after. And Speed's
Speed
awesome.
is really good. Yeah,
it's really fun.
She's in Ocean's 8.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen Ocean's 8?
Blindside.
She's in Bullet Train.
Yeah, I have to watch that too. Anyway, so Sandra Bullock, I love Sandra Bullock, and I grew up watching her.
Gravity.
And this is like one of those essential. Anyway, so Bullock plays this main character, this girl, and one day, like, she fantasizes about being with this guy, and he's pretty rich and whatnot, and this guy he blanks out and goes unconscious and falls on the train track, and the train's coming to get him, and she
The
saves
train's
him.
coming to get him.
Yeah,
You act like it's like coming to pick him up.
So he's on the track. The train's gonna run him over,
It's
and she like
Thomas the
tries to
Tank
get him
Engine.
up, and then she rolls over with him and saves his life.
Yep.
And then
And
at
then
the
they fall in
hospital,
love.
this
No.
nurse, he's in a coma, and at the hospital, this nurse thinks that because she overhears.
Wait, okay. Before you keep
fantasizing.
going, I know what you're thinking, but him being in a coma has nothing to do with the. Well, it does, but like
Well, it's like the inciting incident, because then
that isn't the romance part, because it's like, oh,
No,
he's
no,
in
no.
a coma. What is she gonna,
Well, so the cover of the movie spoils the movie, first of all. So just so you know, if you look at the cover, and this is on Disney Plus, so if you look at the title card spoils the movie. But so we're going to spoil it. But basically, what happens is this rich guy is in his coma, and then this family thinks she is the fiance, and she like plays along with the lie. Mm-hmm. So these movies kind of give me anxiety, because the main character is living a lie the whole time, and the whole movie is like works around that tension, right? Yeah. So it all works around the tension of her trying to keep up with the lie, right?
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening is she falls in love with this. I mean, she gets outed at the end. She's about to get married to this guy.
Well, she outs herself.
Right. And then like the real fiance comes in and it's like, this lady's a fraud or whatever. And then
she's like, I object. It's like, join the club.
Yeah. The Peter Doyle. That's Peter Doyle. Yeah. He's awesome. And then what ends up happening is she falls in love with Jack, who's the brother, Bill Pullman, who is awesome, by the way. I love Bill Pullman. So anyways, this movie is played to be like this comedy kind of rom-com, and so it has like lighthearted music, and it has some really good moments.
Oh, it's like some old like crusty music, like it's dated.
No, it's good, Josh.
Like
I mean, it's old, but
I was listening to this and I was like, oh,
like it's classic.
Like I could
90s
feel
rom-com
the 90s in this movie, music. And I wasn't even alive then.
Almost like Home Alone style, where it's like,
yeah, but Home Alone is good. It's iconic.
Sure.
But okay. See,
I guess that's more 80s, but like anyways, this movie is all played around that premise of her keeping up with the lie, and then Bill Pullman's character, Jack, is trying to look into this woman, right? And doesn't really believe it. And there's some really good moments. Like she has to go and feed Peter's cat, and
not really his cat.
Like, right. Like Fluffy.
That was a weird looking cat, by the way.
Yes. And it comes around the corner. And anyways, Jack comes in and is like following her and at the apartment. Questioning her. So there's a good moment there. And just a lot of moments like that where she's trying to keep up with the lie. And then there's some really heartfelt moments, like with the family. So there's some dramatic irony where one of the family members kind of overhears her with the coma patient, or maybe not.
I thought
he's on the outside.
I thought that was gonna go somewhere else where he misheard her or like heard something else.
Right.
And then he was like, oh, I heard what you said that night. And then she would obviously assume, oh, he knows I'm a fraud. But then it comes to like, and it kind of goes down this direction, but it doesn't really. It's like, oh, well, can you tell the family? And then he goes and he like, kind of like the pregnant scare. Yes. He tells him something else and then just continues to build on that. But no, he did know. He's just very bad at telling.
Or I think he kept it, because remember he says,
well, yeah, no, he did.
He talks to her. He talks to her right at the beginning and says, "Hey, like, don't hurt the Doyles. Like, don't hurt this family, or whoever their names are. Not Doyles.
don't hurt the Robertsons.
The Callahans. Sorry, don't hurt them.
The Addams family.
He warns her and kind of puts the ball in her court at the beginning. Mm-hmm. So as I grew up watching this movie. My wife and I watch this movie often. She likes it. As a romantic comedy or like romantic film, I think the best part of this film is the acting. I don't. I think if there
Yeah,
was lesser
that's fair.
actors in this movie, I think it would be a pretty boring
It would
run
be
of the
fairly
mill
Hallmark.
movie. It kind of is already. Like it is
Yeah.
very predictable. It is run of the mill,
They
formulaic.
get engaged and married within 2 weeks.
Yes, but I love Sandra Bullock and her character in this movie.
Yeah.
Like she's very charismatic and very charming, and she's very likable. Like
Yeah,
and the way she
and
plays the
it's
line parts and stuff, and
I
even the
enjoy
frantic covering up parts are really good.
I enjoy the fact that she's human and it's not just like she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a master at like lying." She's like, "Oh crap."
Right.
She's like,
She
"No."
makes
And you
mistakes.
can like see her spiraling in parts where she's like,
Yeah.
"No," or it's like when she's going into the elevator and the guy comes out and he says something or like someone says, "Oh yeah, no," it's like, "Oh, Lucy, here's Peter's stuff. You're the
Yeah.
fiance, right?" She's like, "No!" And then he's like, "Oh, what?" Like it's just like all those like parts. I don't know. I think
Or there's a good moment where she's sleeping over, like on the
yeah.
couch after dinner with the family for the first time, and then Bill Pullman's character Jack enters in for the first time, and the kid's like, "Hey, that's Peter's fiance," and he's
Mhm.
like, "No, it's not," and she overhears him,
Yeah.
and she's still like sleeping, and her eye opens up, and she's like,
It almost reminds me of like
frantic.
when I was a kid and like I would be like pretending to sleep and then
Yes.
my parents would be like, "Is Josh asleep?" And then I'd be like, "Oh, I need to like make sure I'm sleeping." Or
She's
like,
very good at playing that stuff. Like she does
yeah.
it often. She does it in Miscongeniality as well, because she's posing as a different person in that movie as well, like a fraud or like an undercover pageant person. So she's good at that. So and then she's like running out the door trying to get away, right?
Like
So there's
in
a few
Ocean's
moments
8,
like that. Sure.
running out.
So there's a few moments like that, and there's like lighthearted music playing in the background, and
No,
it's just one of those movies.
it's
It's a
bad
Christmas
music.
movie. It's a Christmas movie, so I don't think the music's bad. It's just music. It's just filler. It's not. This type of movie isn't made for the score. You know what I mean? Like the score isn't a character in this movie. Like that's just not what this type of movie is. So
Okay.
so like it's not like
I still
Hans
think
Zimmer's
it's bad.
Interstellar.
I'm sorry. I'm not changing my mind on that. It's just it's crunchy.
That's fair.
It's crunchy in my ears.
If I played the music for you, you wouldn't know what movie it's from because it just sounds like royalty free,
I'm like, what era is this from?
cheery 90s, whatever. Yeah, what era is this from? So the movie is like that. Like there's nothing really like this movie is pretty fluff, right? There's not so like for you, so for a Valentine's movie and a romantic movie, the romance has to work,
Yeah.
right? So did you find there to be lots of good romance in this movie? Did the chemistry work between the actors?
See, here's the thing with romance and like why I don't necessarily like romance movies is I don't like the idea of like, and I understand why people watch them, but I don't like the idea of watching it and being like, "Oh, I really want this." Like
What do you
you're
mean? Like,
watching
oh,
it
I really want them to be
like,
in
there's
love?
so many people who watch
Like, is
romance
that what you mean?
movies and they're just like, "Oh, I really wish I had my own Jack." But it's like,
Oh, right.
it's
Yeah.
really unrealistic, and it doesn't have to be realistic. Movies don't have to be realistic, but I don't like the idea of watching movies where it's like, "Oh, I really want that," when it's not something that is obtainable in a lot of ways. Like, yeah, you can find someone and marry them in 2 weeks, but usually they're insane. But
Yeah.
so it's
Well,
just like
I mean, these movies are escapist, right? They're not meant to be
and
representations of. I get what you mean,
for
though.
me, I
I
just don't
agree.
like escaping into that because it's like,
Okay, so cut through that.
yeah.
Your observation there as a
So
romantic
without that
film,
bias, I
did it
think
work?
it was good. I think this movie was really fluffy, and that's why I feel like it didn't really hit anything for me. Like it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's there. And I feel like that's a lot of romance movies. It's like, oh yeah, that's a movie that exists and it's romance and they love each other.
Right.
And I think it was good in the way where their relationship was cute, I guess. Like, oh,
Okay.
look at them. They love each other. And so I don't know. It was like fun to watch and like I definitely see the appeal as in like you turn your brain off and just
Mm-hmm.
have you just watch something nice. But I don't know. I'd rather watch like some drama where like a family is getting together, they're spending time
Mm-hmm.
together. And so it's like that where I can turn my brain off and like be happy. Where it's like, oh, look at this family. They're really bonded. Instead of
So if
yeah.
you had a girlfriend, would you watch this movie? Would you be like, hey, let's watch while you were sleeping?
No. I think there's better romance movies. And plus, I
Okay.
feel like once I do get a girlfriend, there's gonna be movies she's gonna want me to watch that are romance
Mm-hmm.
movies.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like, I mean, I haven't seen any, so there's obviously gonna be some movie. But
Right.
like, I
Well,
don't think I'll
you made a
ever.
Titanic reference, right, with Jack. Have you seen Titanic?
Oh no, I was referencing Jack from this movie.
Oh, this movie. Okay, I wasn't
But
sure.
I mean, I've made a Titanic reference. I've seen the Titanic, yes. And here's the thing. I've only seen the ending, and this isn't on purpose. It's
Right.
just I think I've seen the ending 2 or 3 times, and
Mm-hmm.
it's because every time it was on TV, it was always at the end. So the longest time, I thought the Titanic was literally just the boat sinking. So when there's like Jack who's dying, I'm like, who's this guy? Who
Because
is
you
this guy?
haven't seen the beginning. Yeah.
No, and so like, cause I knew the story of the Titanic, so I assumed that was the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Like, if I'm gonna go to a romance movie, I'm gonna go to like one La La Land because I think that one's just nice. Um, Let me think of another romance. Uh,
You think it's nice that they chose their careers
well,
over each other?
well, no. I just think that's a nice
Sorry,
movie.
I'm gonna hit you hard for that one
Um,
every time.
no. See, the way I see the end of that movie is that they just weren't meant to be together. It just, as much as they love each other, it just didn't work, and they should be okay with that, and they should have enjoyed the time they had together. I didn't when I watched it.
Yeah, but
I
yeah,
didn't. I
I
didn't
don't. I
even
don't
think
agree, but
of
that's fine.
before you said that. I didn't even think of the idea of them choosing their career over each other.
That's Hollywood telling you to go for what you want versus what you want to give someone else. So
That's fair. But
yeah.
besides that, I like that movie. I'm trying to think of another romance
Now,
movie that
okay,
I like.
here's what's interesting is that movie has more substance and depth with its romance, that you feel it more in that movie compared to While You Were Sleeping,
Yeah.
because While You Were Sleeping, it's like literally, I think it timed it. It's like a minute and a half when she claims to love the brother, and then they are in love. It's like a minute and a half to 2 minutes,
You
right?
had your
And then
stopwatch out.
he comes to the trains. Well, I take notes sometimes, Josh. We're a movie review
That's
podcast,
fair.
right?
I don't.
So, and then at the end, she's alone in the train thing, and she did the right thing finally. She stopped lying for the whole movie,
She's a
right?
good
And she's
character.
with her Christmas tree, and then Bill Pullman comes to her work, and
Yeah.
he's not,
No, the whole
he come
family.
where the movie started, right? And they fall in love, and it's nice, right? But then it just ends, and it's just that nice ending, but you're right, it does lack that substance. It and While You Were Sleeping is a different movie than La La Land. They're both trying
Yeah.
to achieve different things and with its storytelling, but I think While You Were Sleeping is a time capsule for how, like, a lot of Hollywood romance movies, especially from that era, were like that. They
Mhm.
were all kind of the same, and While You Were Sleeping is very formulaic. It is kind of the same. What makes the movie good in my opinion, because the movie isn't great. Like it's not.
It's
But
not like
what
top tier.
no, but what makes it what I love about it are the actors. And
Yeah.
I just love
I
I
think
grew up on those actors. And so
Yeah.
there's my bias, right? And by the way, the actors in La La Land are incredible. They're super good.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Ryan
love Emma Stone
Gosling.
and Ryan Gosling. Yeah. Incredible. So I just I do think in modern romance movies, for better or for
I'm
worse,
trying to think of
look at like a
modern
movie like
romance.
Marriage Story. Look at La La Land.
Oh.
Look at these movies coming out where it's reacting to that 90s fluff piece and the Hallmark movies, and it's going so
It's
far
almost
the
like
other way.
it's almost like what happened after is what the movies are now.
Well, I mean, I think it's just going so far the other way to say, let's just make really complicated love stories that don't end well, right? Which is like fine. Like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of love stories don't end well, right? It just I just wish there was like a more balance of like, hey, what's while you were sleeping with a fun premise like that what if you injected it with some substance and like added some more, I don't know, a bit more depth to it. It would be interesting because it's a funny concept, but a lot of modern movies are just not very funny anymore. I do think this movie has a weird, joyful heart that is just lighthearted.
Yeah,
And
it's
you know
like
what I mean?
a nice
Like maybe
feeling.
Like La La Land is not very lighthearted. It's
For the
very
most part.
intense. It's beautiful, and it has a beautiful love story where the ending aggravates me, right?
Yeah, we've
but it's
already
like, and
mentioned
that's its intention, right? So
to aggravate Jordan.
right. Now a lot of people think, here's the sad part, is a lot of people think that movie's beautiful because the world would be robbed without those people in their professions, like with the professional singer and the travel, you know what I mean? Like, and I just don't agree with that. I think falling in love with your spouse is more beautiful than having a good singer sing for 10 years.
That's fair,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? So, but that's what that movie's about. But this, if I were to choose between the two, I do think La La Land has more weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, the
because this movie just like gouge a. Well, it's
Chef's
so good.
kiss on
The craft is just like in La La Land. The craft is just amazing. You know what I mean? So, as a romance, I think While You Were Sleeping works because of the actors. I think if it were different actors, there wouldn't be anything there, right? I think Sandra Bullock does a good job of playing the liar throughout the movie,
she's just good at everything.
She's super I love her. She's super likable. She's so good in this movie, and she's the heart of this movie, and the reason why it works so well is because of her. So not because of the writing. Like everything's really milquetoast in this movie.
Milquetoast.
Even Peter Callahan, the guy that goes in the coma, he's milquetoast. You know what I mean?
He doesn't really do anything. And then when he does stuff, he's like, my social security number is.
This movie is kind of like the Hallmark movie before Hallmark movies, except it's a bit better than Hallmark movies. Just a bit.
I mean, you can say that.
I in my opinion. So,
I mean, for me, I've seen a lot more Hallmark movies. Like, technically, and this is a big technically, I've grown up more with Hallmark movies than romance movies like these. So, like, I don't.
Well, Hallmark movies
they're very similar.
Movies.
They're
Christmas romance movies.
The only thing that is different is the acting, which you don't get a lot of good actors in Hallmark movies. So
yeah. So you would say Hallmark movies are worse than While We Were Sleeping?
Well, I wouldn't say worse because just the acting alone doesn't really make it better story-wise. Okay. That makes sense? But yeah, I guess on paper it's better.
I do think
they're still on the same level.
I would push back there a bit because this story is like, it is kind of twisty turny a bit. Like if you don't know where it's going, like it
twist
is
villain.
It is kind of like this weird, how everyone says Beauty and the Beast is about like abduction, right? Like this movie's about a stalker technically inserting herself into this guy's family. It's almost it kind of takes that and flips it.
You remember?
Almost like me.
Not you.
Yeah.
But to show you where it's like
I've
this
never
guy
even seen that.
stalks this woman, then they fall in love. It's almost like that.
Yeah, she's like stalking him from her little ticket
No.
booth.
Yeah, and so
In this movie,
you're saying La La Land gives off this message, but while you're promoting the message that stalkers get their way in the end, that you should stalk someone to fall in love with them.
Like
so
that
I don't know. You're just pushing some weird agendas here.
I just like that there's a falling in love in this movie. It's nice.
Yeah,
and
that's
these
the
people
whole
choose
thing.
each other.
This movie is a romance.
Nice.
Like when you think of a romance, it is this movie. There is nothing else to it. But
here's how I'll explain it. If you want to,
crusty music.
If you want to eat a steak dinner and savor in the moments and have depth, watch La La Land. But if you want to have M&Ms and forget about the hardships of life, watch while you're sleeping.
Yeah. See, I watched this at school. Yeah, I don't know. That didn't really. I don't really have anywhere to go with that. I was just watching it at school, and it's not like it made me forget my. I don't know. This movie almost felt like a chore to watch.
That's fair.
Which it kind of was a chore. I was watching the movie and my friends were like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm studying."
Right.
I'm doing homework. And they're like, "Oh, what for what class?" I'm like, "Podcast."
That is a class.
Yeah, this is
so we're gonna wrap up soon. This episode is a bit shorter, but Josh, what would you give this movie out of 10 Dores?
See, it's hard. I want to say 5, but the music alone brings that one down. And you know what? The ice scene, that was not ice. That was plastic. Come on. I live in Canada. You can't convince me. I mean, I live in Detroit. You can't convince me that is ice when it clearly is not ice. So, for that alone, I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Out of 10?
Yeah. See, if the ice scene wasn't there, it would have been a 4.
Right.
3.5 out of 10 Dores. That might be my lowest, is it? No.
Yeah, I think it is.
Really?
I think so. What would be lower? What we've done?
I don't know.
Anything on your Spooktacular?
No. I think Jurassic Park. Jurassic World might have a lower one.
I think he gave it a 2 because I gave it like 1.5.
Jurassic World is a lot worse than this movie.
Okay.
So I'll say 4.
So 4 out of 10 stars?
Yeah.
Or Dores?
Yeah.
Cool. And you wouldn't watch this on a date night?
Maybe I would.
You would?
Yeah. I think, honestly, this movie might be better watching it with someone.
Okay.
Watching it alone is sad, especially at school. Like, what are you doing with your life? Like,
and then you have the fake ice.
You know you've hit rock bottom if you're watching while you were asleep alone.
While you were sleeping.
Sorry. While you were sleeping alone.
Right.
Sorry. Wait.
That's right.
That was confusing. Not when you're sleeping alone.
It's a sad day.
You guys understand.
It's a sad day when you're watching while you were sleeping alone.
Yeah.
At school.
At school.
That's fair.
Or home.
So I would give this movie out of 5 stars. I would give this movie 2.5 out of 5.
So we're like fairly.
So, I was going to give it a 3, but it's just not good enough for a 3.
Jordan, we still haven't found a movie that.
This is like this movie is kind of one of my guilty pleasures. I do enjoy this movie. It's very enjoyable, but I'm not going to sit there and rewatch it every year. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll watch it every couple of years. But I would say it's a nice Valentine's movie. It's better than every Hallmark movie ever made. And it does everything better than a Hallmark movie. And if you want a nice fluffy movie to watch, yes, absolutely everything.
I think they have better ice in Hallmark movies.
Like Josh, I wouldn't even give a Hallmark movie a 1.
Really? Wow.
Like they're terrible. They're really bad. So
my mom watches all of those, so be careful.
Okay, well, Josh's mom, I think I would give a 0.3 out of
There we
5
go.
for every Hallmark movie. I'm not even
For everyone, there's probably one out there.
maybe even a 0. I would say this is the one. I would say watch this instead. Watch a 90s rom-com instead of or an early 2000s rom-com. So Josh, I know you didn't love this movie. Is there a romantic film or rom-com that you would recommend?
Oh, see, I was trying to think of another romance movie I've seen that isn't Marriage Story or La La Land,
Right.
and I can't think. And you know what, Wall-E.
Wall-E's good.
I would
Much better than
recommend
this movie.
Wall-E.
Yeah.
Watch Wall-E
And
instead.
and honestly, 2.5 out of 5. Okay, it sounds a bit harsh, but I just think this movie works only because of the acting.
Yeah.
Honestly, and the actors, the type of typecasting
You know, we
that's
should
on in this movie.
do Wall-E for a podcast.
Yeah, we should. That movie's great. Let's do it. I would recommend How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. That
How to
movie's a
Lose a
bit
Guy
better.
in 10 Days?
Yeah.
Never even heard of that.
What? With Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson?
I literally haven't heard of that.
Holy jeez. So I recommend that. I would recommend this movie as well. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is funnier than this movie.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Secret Life of Walter Mitty is a good.
I would also recommend Titanic. Oh,
Yeah.
and Stranger Than Fiction
I haven't heard of that.
is a good rom-com. That movie's really good. And Josh, you said Secret Life of Walter Mitty. That's a romantic
It's
movie.
not a romance at all. Well, not at all. But there is some
Oh,
romantic
no.
elements to it.
Well, we got to stick to romance. It's
Honestly,
Valentine's Day.
I'm just trying to plug Secret Life of Walter Mitty as much as I can.
I haven't seen that movie in years. I don't even remember half that movie. So
That
we should
movie is
probably
10
review it.
years old now.
Yeah.
So I think we have to review it this year to celebrate its 10-year anniversary.
So Josh, do you have any plans this weekend before we wrap up?
No, I don't think so. I have
Nice.
work.
Work.
And
Well, thank you for listening to the
nothing
Cinematic Doors podcast. Josh's life sounds really exciting. So
yeah, I know,
we'll
right?
get more on that
Top
next
notch.
week.
Just
And
like
thank you so much
watching
for
this movie
listening.
alone.
Thank you at school.
Yeah,
Pray that Josh gets a girlfriend, right? No.
eventually, yeah.
But yeah, my wife and I watch this movie often. She loves it, and it's just nice.
It's nice.
Much nicer than La La Land.
It's nice. It's lovely.
Even though La La Land is a better film,
yeah.
it's got a cold ending, cold heart,
Ouch.
like stone, like Josh.
yeah.
So
I'm evil. I hate. You know what? I was saying that
You're not
Jordan has no emotions. Clearly, I don't. So we just both don't have emotions.
well, you just really hated the music in this movie, so
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
that's fine.
I didn't even think about how much it sucked until you brought it up. But when I look back, I'm like,
You're
ugh.
wrong about that. It's not bad. It's just
It's not good.
It's just milk toast. It's not bad.
You really
There's worse
you're
music.
just pulling out the milk toast again.
Well, yeah,
Also, you know what?
it's a term.
Catch us next week for Swiss Army Man.
That's our next movie.
Yeah, we're doing that.
Josh's pick. So by the way, disclaimer on this film, it's pretty clean. I don't think there's any.
Oh,
swearing or anything
it's
in
way
it,
too
so
late to have a disclaimer.
It is way too late. I might edit that and put it. I won't edit that. It's too much work.
No,
so,
don't do that.
anyways, I think for Swiss Army Man, we are gonna have one, and I haven't seen it. I've heard lots about it. So
I'm really excited.
Josh picked it. So if we have to repent or anything like that, it's Josh's fault. So, but that's what we'll review next
If
week.
we
The
have
week
to
after that,
repent.
Josh, have we picked the week after that yet? I don't think we have.
I think that's
So that's my pick.
your pick.
So we'll keep that a mystery. And
Ooh, it's gonna
we'll
be
see
the thing.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But thank you for listening to the Cinematic Doors podcast. You can catch us on Twitter at Cinematic Doors. You can catch us on Instagram at cinematic_doors. You can catch us by email at cinematicdoors@gmail.com. Doors spelt Dores, not Doors.
Please.
So make sure you
It's-
spell that
it's
right.
like French, but without the accent
Yes.
on the E.
And you can find all of that information down below. please share us, share it with your friends, share our YouTube video,
Your mom,
like,
your
subscribe,
girlfriend, your
hit
wife.
the bell for Josh.
Honestly, have a really good Valentine's Day.
Have a great Valentine's
Share
Day.
the love.
If you don't have a Valentine,
Hey, you know what? It's okay to be single. I'm single.
it is. Yeah,
I'm
if you don't have a
loving life.
Valentine, email Josh or call him. Play some Nerf with him and the boys.
Yeah, Nerf with the boys. Unless you're a girl.
It is okay to be single. So, hey, if you're single, you don't have to watch movies like while you're sleeping, right?
Yeah.
So,
unless you want to feel bad.
No.
I feel like beating myself up today. I'm gonna watch a romance.
That's really happy and unrealistic.
Okay.
If you want a dose of reality, just watch Marriage Story. That'll give you a dose.
We need to end this.
Okay. Have a good night, everyone. And
don't forget to close the door on your way out. See ya.
Ciao.
Oh, gosh.